Okay. So in the last session, we have discussed about how to create a Salesforce account and which is a permanent account for the free developer site. Now, so everybody has created that account, the free developer account.
Yes, I. This is Mohit. I have. Yeah.
Okay. Now, so now we will see the practical examples inside that the Salesforce account and what are the various features offered by Salesforce as part of Salesforce CRM and how can we customize those features without writing the code, and we'll see one by one. Now, everybody is able to hear my voice now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, so now let's log in into our Salesforce account. We'll see how can we customize these features. So now in order to log in into our Salesforce account, we have to use a URL called as login.salesforce.com. So now this is the URL we have to use to log in into our Salesforce account from the second time. Initially, we are using the developer.salesforce.com/sign up in order to create a new Salesforce account. Once we have created the Salesforce account, we have to log in from next time by using login.salesforce.com. Now, so now let's log in into your Salesforce account and by providing your username and the password, and then configure the features now. So now I'm logging into my Salesforce account now by providing my username and the password. So now this is the initial view of your Salesforce account where we have created a Salesforce account right now. So now as we have discussed in the yesterday's session, Salesforce is providing a set of ready-made applications to you as part of the Salesforce CRM. So now in order to see all those applications, we have to use this pick list, which will be populating all the applications which we are having right now inside this organization. Whatever the Salesforce account that we have created, that Salesforce account is called as a Salesforce organization. Okay, whatever the Salesforce account that we have created, that is called as a Salesforce organization. So now, when coming to the Salesforce, in a specific instance, nothing but in a specific server, it may be in North America region, it may be in Asia Pacific region, it may be in our Europe region also. Already we have discussed that Salesforce is maintaining their own servers. Inside that servers, the Salesforce is allocating the memory for each and every customer who has created a Salesforce account. Some portion of the memory will be getting allocated. So now, inside that instance, your application, your data, your files, everything will be getting resides inside that. So nothing but what happened inside a single server, we are having some multiple customers are there. Each and every customer is nothing but a tenant. The person may be utilizing on free of cost. The customer may be utilizing on the rental basis also, which is a license edition. They're paying some rental amount. So now each and every say customer is treated as an organization. In order to identify each and every customer separately, Salesforce is going to be allocating one unique identification number. Like if you're having some so many flats in the apartment in the first floor, then we are going to be identifying each and every flat by using a flat number. Based on that, we can able to identify that. We can locate that. Like the same way here also, even though Salesforce is maintaining a single server, inside a server, if the Salesforce is going to be allocating the memory for the multiple customers, then each and every customer will be treated as a Salesforce account, and that Salesforce account is treated as a Salesforce organization. And this is also called as a Salesforce org. Now, let's see. We can make a note of it. Each Salesforce account will be treated as a Salesforce organization. So now, each and every Salesforce organization will be identified by using a unique identification number that will be called as the Salesforce.com organization ID. Okay, that will be called as a Salesforce.com organization ID. Now let's see here. For example, suppose for example, this is my Salesforce server. So now this is my Salesforce server. I'm having my Salesforce server. Assume that this is some AP2. This is a Salesforce server. So now as a new user, I'm creating a new Salesforce account by filling up the registration form. And as soon as when you click on sign me up button after entering all the details inside the registration form, then some amount of memory will be getting allocated for you in the Salesforce server in the associated regions available server. Assume that I have entered that country name as some India. So now India is associated with the Asia Pacific region. In that region, we are having AP0 to AP4 servers are there. In those servers in AP2, it has identified the required amount of memory. In order to create a new free Salesforce account, whatever the memory is required, that memory is available inside that AP2 server. Now, it is going to be allocating that amount of memory inside my AP2. Now, assume that it has allocated some amount of memory for me. So now this is the amount of memory it has allocated to me. So now this is the memory has been getting allocated here. So now, when coming to the Salesforce.com, this is called as a new Salesforce account. Generally, we are calling it as a Salesforce account. Whatever the new account that we have created is called as a Salesforce organization. Or simply it is called as an org. Okay, simply it is called as an org. So now this is the Salesforce organization. Now this is the memory has been allocated by the Salesforce for this particular customer. Now then how can we log in into this application? By providing our username, by providing our password. So now because once the Salesforce account has been getting created, it will be sending that account activation link to your email ID. So now we can activate that account by providing the password and the confirm password and security question and the answer. By using those username and the password, we can log in into that application from the next time. Now, so now this is a Salesforce.com organization which we have created right now, nothing but our Salesforce account. So now when coming to the Salesforce account, it has been allocated the memory inside a server called as AP2 server. So now whenever you are trying to be accessing this application, every time it will be providing that URL to you. Like inside that, it will be providing https ap2.salesforce.com. Nothing but it is going to be redirecting your request to that associated the regions server. Because my account is available inside that AP2 server, so that all my data and my applications and my files, everything will be researched inside this AP2 server itself only. So now here it will be providing that URL as ap2.salesforce.com. Nothing but I'm using the Salesforce.com's applications, and where Salesforce is maintaining their own infrastructure, which is in the different regions, and where I'm pointing to the AP region, nothing but Asia Pacific region. In that we're having the multiple servers are there from 0 to 4, nothing but 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, nothing but AP0, AP1, AP2 like that. In that we're having the server called as AP2 server, in which I'm having my account, my applications are there. So please send the request to the particular server. Now, So now, whenever you are going to be creating a Salesforce account, then that is called as a Salesforce organization, where it is going to be allocating the memory inside that associated region server. So now, suppose one more person. Assume that Sridhar has created one more account. He has selected the country as from India. So now for the Sridhar also it is going to be allocating the memory inside that same server itself. Assume that for the Sridhar it has allocated the amount of memory for this is a memory location. This is the Sridhar's account. This is also called as Sridhar's organization. Whatever the records he has created, whatever the applications he has developed, whatever the applications he has deployed, everything will be available inside this same server itself. Nothing but myself is one account, one customer, and then Sridhar is also another customer. And now Mohit is also created one more account. He is also selected the country as of India. So now for Mohit also it will be allocating the memory in the same associated region server. So now for Mohit it is going to be giving the separate amount of memory inside the same server. So now this is some Mohit's organization, Mohit Sar. Whatever the application has created by the Mohit, all those applications and whatever the records he has created, everything will be storing inside this one. Nothing but what happened inside a single server, we are having the multiple customers are there. Customers means a Salesforce organization. So now, in this kind of scenario, how can we identify? Okay, how can we identify? So now the request has been come from this particular organization. So now in order to identify each and every organization separately, Salesforce is going to be allocating one unique identification number. So now that unique identification number is called as a Salesforce.com organization ID. For every Salesforce account, it will be allocating the Salesforce.com organization ID, which is a unique identification number, allocated by the Salesforce to you. So now for each and every organization, Salesforce is allocating one unique identification number that is called as Salesforce.com organization ID. So now, so where exactly that Salesforce.com organization ID is available here? Now let's see. In order to see that Salesforce.com's organization ID, we have to use that navigation process. So now, let's make a note here. Salesforce allocates the memory for multiple organizations in the same server. To identify each organization, it will allocate a unique identification number. A unique identification number called as Salesforce.com organization ID. Salesforce.com organization ID. So what is the importance of this Salesforce.com organization ID here? We'll see. Okay. So when coming to the security concepts also, we are going to be discussing in detail about this one. Now, suppose for example, assume that. So now, Salesforce has allocated the memory here. So now this is my account. This is Sridhar's organization. This is Mohit's organization. Now all organizations are available inside the same server, that is some AP2. Suppose for example, Mohit has logged into this his application by providing his username, his password. Now, when you try to create some new record, then that record has to be stored inside this Mohit's organization's account only. It cannot create into my account. It should not create that account record into my Sridhar's account. It has to create that account record inside that Mohit's organization. Nothing but Mohit has created that record. Then how it will identify? This request has been sent by Mohit. Then how the Salesforce will identify here? So now whenever you are going to be making a request, okay, whenever you are going to be making a request, then it will be forwarding the various details to you. It may be not only for Salesforce, it may be the multiple organization applications also. It may be Java or .NET or whatever. Now, when the user make a request, to Salesforce server to perform the operations, it will send the below requested details. Below requested details from browser to the Salesforce server. Generally, what kind of request will be getting sent here? From the browser side, it will be sending that requested URL, and then it will be sending that the form data, whatever the data that you have entered inside the form, that form data will be getting forwarded, and the header information, and then the browser information, and then the browser version, and the operating system details, and which version of operating system, what operating system that we are going to using right now inside your system from which you are making the request. It will be tracking your system's IP address. It will be sending your session ID, and along with that, it will be forwarding your Salesforce.com organization ID, okay, to which you have logged in. So now it will be tracking each and every information. Suppose, for example, I'm opening up the browser in order to access my Gmail application or banking application. So that we are specifying www.gmail.com. When you press enter, automatically the browser is going to be sending some request to that associated domain, nothing but the gmail.com. Nothing but gmail.com is nothing but associated with a server. Now that server internally will be having some address. To that address, it is going to be making a request. While sending the request, it is going to be sending not only the requested URL, nothing but I am going to be requesting to the Gmail server to please provide me the application of gmail.com. Nothing but the default page of that application, so that I can provide my credentials and I can able to log into the application to receive some email notifications. So that we are making a request. When you press enter, automatically the request will be getting sending to the Gmail server. So now in that Gmail server, what it will do, whenever you are pressing that enter button after typing the gmail.com, it is sending all this information to you. It will send the requested URL. What is that requested URL? Gmail.com, www.gmail.com. This is a URL that I'm going to be requesting to the Gmail server to provide to load that application. And the form data, if you have entered any data here, now come to this one. So now it is providing that the login screen to you. Because Gmail application is not an anonymous access application, this is an authenticated application, so that only the people who are already the registered members, only those members can able to log in into the Gmail application. Suppose if I'm having some websites, google.co.in, anonymous access, everybody can able to access that. No need to provide any credentials. TCS.com, the website will be getting opened automatically. And then Wipro.com, automatically website will get opened. IBM.com, website will get automatically get opened. Nothing but these applications are called as anonymous access application. Everybody can access the application without having any membership, without having any proper credential, without providing our identity. But when coming to the banking applications, finance related applications, and this Gmail application, we have to provide our identity by providing the username and the password. So now here it is providing the login screen to us to enter into that application, so that I'm entering my username. So now my username has been entered, I'm entering the password. So now as soon as when I click on sign in button, then what will happen? Along with this particular request, this is the request URL which is available inside that address bar. Now this is the request I'm going to be making to that Salesforce server. This is the URL I'm going to be expecting, and then whenever it is logging into my application, please consider my password also. Nothing but please verify my password. Based on that password, please logging into my associated application. So now what happened? What are the data that you have entered inside that field? Nothing but the text box. That data also will be getting forwarded. Nothing but the form data. And then whenever it is going to be making a request to that associated Gmail server, then whatever the data that you have entered, if the form is a very big form, then or else if you are sending an email notification which is having the very huge content, nothing but a very lengthy email which is having so many paragraphs of information, at that time the whole information cannot be fitting into a single data packet, because the data will be transferring through the network in terms of data packets, so that it cannot able to fit that whole information inside a single data packet, so that it is going to be dividing into the multiple data packets. So that in order to identify each and every data packet, will be holding that header information, nothing but the indexes. Because whatever the email notification that I have sent, when coming to the receiver can receive that email notification in the same format whatever I have sent. So that in order to arrange those information in that specific format, it is going to be identifying, giving a specific index number for each and every data packet, that is called as header information. And then which browser you are using, because browser to browser, then the user interface will be looking like different. If you're accessing the same application by using the older browsers, like as the older versions of the Chrome, then you will be having a different look and feel. If you're accessing the same application by using the latest version of the browser, the look and feel will be completely different. Because here the older browser versions will not support a few functionalities. So that here the look and feel will be completely different over there. So that it is going to be identifying the browser information, which browser you are using, and which version of the browser you are using, which operating system you are using, and it will be tracking all this information. Along with that, your system's IP address also. Because once the request has been processed by the Gmail server, it has to send the request to your system only. So that to identify your system, it will be tracking your system's IP address. And along with that, to identify whether you are a authorized member or not of this application, it will be using the session ID. I think most of the people are aware of the session ID and everything concepts. But now, when coming to the Salesforce, along with these details, it will be forwarding that currently logged in Salesforce.com organization ID. Because for each and every organization, Salesforce is going to be allocating one ID that will be starting from 00D. Each and every Salesforce.com organization will be starting from 00D, which is a 15 characters identification number allocated by Salesforce, which is a unique number for each and every Salesforce.com organization. So now, assume that. So now when coming to my Salesforce.com organization here, assume that this is the ID here. For my Salesforce.com organization, it has allocated that ID some 00D 12345. Now for the Sridhar's account, for the Sridhar's organization, it is allocating that ID 00D23456. Now for the Mohit's account, it has allocated one organization ID that is some 00D some 56789. So assume that for each and every Salesforce.com organization, Salesforce is going to be allocating one unique identification number. Whenever the user is making the request to the Salesforce server, then it is getting all the information along with your Salesforce.com organization ID also. So now based on that organization ID, the request will be moving to that associated organization, so that the organization will process that request. So now this is how Salesforce is going to be redirecting or routing that request to the associated organizations. Nothing but organization means an application, nothing but an account, which is belongs to a particular tenant or a customer who is utilizing. It may be on free of cost, it may be a licensed user also. Now, each and every request will be having that organization ID. Now, make a note of it. Upon making a request to Salesforce server from the browser, Salesforce will send the currently logged in organization ID along with the request, so that the request will be processed by the associated organization. Now, So now for each and every Salesforce.com organization, it is going to be allocating one unique identification number that is called as Salesforce.com organization ID. Then where we can see, okay, where we can see. So what is that Salesforce.com organization ID allocated by the Salesforce for my organization? Now, I'll show you that. You can see the organization ID with the below navigation. Now, go to the setup menu. And click on it. Go to the administer menu. In the left panel. Go to the company profile and click on it. And the third step is click on company information link and go to the Salesforce.com organization ID field. So now this is the navigation we have to use in order to see what is the Salesforce.com organization ID has been allocated by Salesforce. So because the Salesforce.com organization is going to be playing the major role whenever you are making the request, whenever you are maintaining the security also. Now let's see this information here. So now when coming to the navigation, let's use this navigation in order to identify that Salesforce.com organization ID which has been allocated by the Salesforce for your account. Now go to that setup menu. When you go to your Salesforce.com organization, you will be having the setup menu is available here. So now this is the setup menu is available. Now go to this particular setup menu and then you will be having the left panel. This is the left panel is available to you. Okay, this is the left panel is there. In that left panel, you will be having so many menus are available like as administer, build, deploy, and then monitor. These are the 4 menus are available. Inside those menus, you will be having so many menu items and you will be having sub menu items are also there. Now let's see. Click on that setup menu, which is available on the top right corner. Go to that administer menu in the left panel. You will be having the build menu. You will be having deploy menu. You will be having monitoring menu. Now administer menu is used to configure the features which are given by the Salesforce to you. Based on your requirement, we can able to configure, we can able to maintain the security, we can add some new users to the organization and everything we can able to configure by using that administer. And build. If you want to develop something new or if you want to customize the existing features of Salesforce or if you want to build your own custom applications, if you want to add some more features, then we can able to use that build menu. And then once you have built that application, if you want to deploy those features, then we have to use the deploy. If you want to monitor those users information and the operations information which have been performed by the different users, we can use this monitor menu. These are the 4 menus are available: monitor, deploy, build, and the administer. So now I want to go to that administer menu here. Let's go to that administer menu. Inside that you will be having so many menu items are there. These are the menu items. Like you will be having manage users, manage apps, manage territories, company profile, security controls. Like there's so many options are there. Expand that security controls and click on it. Inside that, company profile, and then inside that you will be having an option called as company information. And then click on that company information. As soon as when you click on company information, it is giving your company name as MNC. So now why it is giving this name as MNC? Because whenever we are creating our Salesforce account, there I have entered my company name as MNC. With that name, it is going to be creating that. So that here, if you want to change your company name in future, then we can able to change. The possibility is available to you. Simply, we can click on edit button, change that organization name from MNC to some other thing, whatever you want, and then we can able to save this information. So now let's see. So now when coming to the company information, you will be having that so many information is available. So now when coming to the organization's information here, you will be having a small information is there. Like we have the Salesforce.com edition. Which edition of Salesforce that we are using? Now we are using that free developer edition. Now you will be having one more field on top of it, that is Salesforce.com organization ID. Now this is the Salesforce.com organization ID which we are going to be using right now, which is starting from 00T. So now when coming to my Salesforce.com organization, it has created this particular ID here. Now let's see. For my Salesforce.com organization, it is providing the ID as this is the ID 00D 28000001UBQB. This is the ID has been allocated by the Salesforce. So now which is a unique identification number. Okay, which is a unique identification number, which is a 15 characters alphanumerical ID will be getting allocated by the Salesforce. Now, so now this is the organization ID which is allocated by the Salesforce to us. Whenever you are going to be making a request, along with that requested details, it is going to be sending your Salesforce.com organization ID also. So now we can able to use this organization ID in order to track what operations the user has performed, how many operations the user has performed, everything they can able to track inside that. The possibilities are available to you. Now, so now this is the default settings which will be given by the Salesforce whenever you are going to be creating a new Salesforce.com organization. Each and every Salesforce account which we have created is called as a Salesforce.com organization. Now, so now this is the Salesforce organization which I have created right now. This is our Salesforce.com organization here, which we have created over here. Now, okay. Now, let's see that. Now, Salesforce is providing that particular Salesforce.com organization by ID for each and every organization which we have right now. Now, so now this is my Salesforce.com organization ID allocated by Salesforce to me. So now on this particular organization, they have provided so many applications to us, like the call center, sales, marketing, app launcher, community, like that. So many applications they have provided here. Now, along with those applications, we can able to add our own custom applications also, depends upon our requirement. If you want to add any banking application, then we can able to add your own banking applications. If you want to create any financial application, then we can able to create. Like that, whatever the applications that we want, we can create by using this as Salesforce instance. The flexibility is available to you. Now, let's see. So now currently we are into that sales application. Now, so on that sales application, it is going to be making visible so many tabs to you. Okay, now, so these are the various tabs are available. So now what exactly the tab? When coming to the tab is nothing but a graphical user interface. Okay, tab is nothing but a graphical user interface. Then what it provides to you? It is providing some user-friendly interface to you. So now for what? Because each and every tab is going to be providing some graphical user interfaces in order to manage the records inside that associated object. Now, So now already we have discussed about so many Salesforce objects to us. Okay, we have discussed so many Salesforce objects, like objects in Salesforce. We have discussed like account is an object, contact is an object, opportunity, case, solution, lead, campaign, order. Like that here, so many objects we have discussed. So now nothing but means what? Account is object means what? A table. And this contact is also a table, contact a table. Object means a table, general terminology. So now this is a table. Like that, we're having so many tables out there. In those tables, we would like to store some records. Then how can we create the record? Do we need to use any programming language? No. Because this application will be using with the different people who are not aware of the Salesforce. So they don't know what exactly Salesforce, they don't know how to log in into that, they don't know how to create the record too programmatically, and they don't know any technical skills. They don't know any programming languages. Then how these people can create those records? For example, here, we are using that Gmail application. By using Gmail application, we are able to send some email notifications, we can receive some email notification. But this Gmail application is using by not only the professionals, this will be using by all the categories of people, the small kids and the students and everybody. They're sharing some information to their friends and to their colleagues and anybody. Now, do we need to learn any programming languages to understand the Gmail application? No. Simply they're providing some effective graphical user interfaces. They're providing user-friendly interfaces by using the mouse clicks, we can able to send some notifications, we can receive some email notifications also. So nothing but without having any programming skills, without learning any programming languages, we can able to operate those applications. Now, like the same way here also, when coming to the Salesforce, we are having some tables out there, account table, contact table, opportunity table, case table, everything. Now, how can we create those records here? Do we need to learn any programming language? No, because Salesforce is providing some set of graphical user interfaces to you. Salesforce is providing a set of graphical user interface to you. Those are called as tabs. So now when coming to the tab is nothing but what? Tab provides a graphical user interface which provides a user-friendly interface to you in order to manage the records inside that object. Now, let's see what exactly the tab. It is a graphical user interface. It is a graphical user interface to interact with the associated object to manage the records inside it. So now what kind of operations we can perform? We can insert the records. We can update the records. And we can delete the records. We can undelete the records. And we can view the records. So nothing but when coming to a table, in each and every table, we are expecting these 4 functionalities. Like as we are expecting some 4 operations. Those are called as CRUD operations. CRUD operations means what? Create, read, update, delete. Nothing but these are called as a CRUD operations. Creating and viewing the records, updating the records, and deleting the records. These 4 operations. If it is a table, we can insert some new records, we can modify some existing records, we can delete some existing records, we can view the required records also. So now, these are the 4 operations generally we are performing inside a table. Now, without learning any programming language, without having any technical skills, if you want to manage those records, then we need some graphical user interface. Now, those graphical user interface will be provided by the tab to you. Now, so now when coming to the tab is nothing but a graphical user interface by which we can able to interact with that associated object, nothing but the table, and we can manage the records inside it. So now when coming to the each and every object, Salesforce is providing an associated tab to you. Now for the account object, it is giving that name as accounts. For the contact object, we have a tab called as contacts. And for the opportunity object, we have a tab called as opportunities. And for the case, we are having a tab called as cases. And for the solution, we are having a tab called as solutions. For the lead, we are having a tab called as leads. For the campaign, we are having a tab called as campaigns. Observe this one here. What is the difference that we have identified when coming to the object names? These object names are looking like as the singular names, like as simply account, contact, opportunity, case, solution, like that. But when you observe these tab names, each and every tab name will be postfixed with yes, nothing but this is a plural. Object names are singular and the tab names are plural, nothing but accounts, contacts, opportunities, cases, solutions, leads, campaigns. Then why they are giving these kind of notations? By using a graphical user interface, how many records can I create? We can create one record and then one more and then one more and then one more. Nothing but we can able to create the multiple records. We can manage the multiple records by using this graphical user interface. Now table is only one. We are having multiple records. Those multiple records we have created by using this graphical user interface. Now only one set of graphical user interfaces are there for each object by which we can able to manage the records inside that. So that they have given that the tab names are plural names. Always object names are singular names and the tab names are plural names. Object names are singular and tab names are plural names. Tab names are plural names, like as accounts, contacts, opportunities, like that. Now, let's go to your tabs. So now when you go to the tabs, you will be having campaigns, leads, accounts, contacts, opportunities, forecast, contracts, orders, cases, solutions, products, like that. So many tabs are available here. Each and every tab is associated with an object, like just now we have discussed. Now accounts tab is associated with account table. Nothing but by using this accounts tab, it is providing some graphical user interfaces by which we can insert some account record, we can modify some account record, we can delete some account record, we can view that existing account records also. Now this contacts tab is providing some set of graphical user interfaces to manage the records inside that contact object. Nothing but the contact table. Opportunities tab will provide a set of graphical user interfaces by which we can manage the records available inside that opportunity table. Like that, each and every tab is having some set of graphical user interfaces which are associated with that associated object. So now we are having so many tabs are available. By using this campaigns tab, we can create some campaign record, and then in order to do that, simply click on that campaigns tab. Now it is providing a graphical user interface to you. By using that, we can able to see the records, campaign records which we have created in the past. We can create some new campaign records. We can modify some existing campaign records. We can delete those existing campaign records, and we can restore those deleted campaign records also. All these operations are available to us. So now here, when coming to the campaigns, as soon as when I click on campaigns tab, then it is providing a graphical user interface to me. So now inside that you will be having that option, nothing but view. By using this view, we can able to view the existing campaign records also. Now, what campaign records that you want to see? All the active campaign records which have been created by all the people, or only your campaign records you want to see. So that it is providing some filters to you. Based on your requirement, we can able to add some more filters also. Like I want to see only those campaign records, okay, which are conducted in Hyderabad location. I want to see only those campaign records which we have conducted in Bangalore location. Like that, we can able to add some more filters also inside that. Based on that location, based on your requirement, we can able to add some more filters also. Generally, whenever you are fetching the data from the databases, we are using some SQL programming language. Okay, database programming, SQL, structured query language, where while fetching the data, we are using some select statement. While using the select statement, we are going to be adding some where class in order to filter the data based on our need. Like the same way that where class is nothing but this particular filters option string. Now we can able to add our own filters, and based on the filters, we can able to filter the records available inside this table. Now, when you click on go, all the campaign records will be getting visible to you. So these are the campaign records are visible to you here. So these are the campaign records are there. Totally 4 records are there. Now it is giving the information 1 to 4 of 4. Now this control is called as the enhancer list view. Nothing but it is providing the list of records which are available inside that object based on the filter which we have selected over here. Now, so now when you go to that campaigns, not only reading that existing campaign records, we can create your own records also. For that, click on this is the new button is available. Click on new button. Now it is providing a graphical user interface by which we can able to enter some data in order to create that new campaign record. Once you create the campaign record, then we can able to modify that campaign record also. Let's see. Now already we are having few campaign records given by Salesforce to us. Now just to open that campaign record, by click on that campaign record name. Now the campaign record details will be getting open for you. So now we can able to click on edit button to modify that campaign. Now I'm changing this campaign here. I want to make it as active. Now these are the details are available. So now when coming to the campaign, they have given some name. They have given the type as the direct mail, like as a web conference, webinar, trade show, public relations, partners, referral program, advertisements, banner ads, direct mail, email, telemarketing, like as so many options they have given here. Now then you can raise a question. When coming to my organization, if I'm not using all these options, then can I customize these options or not? Yes, we can customize. Whatever the option Salesforce has given, everything we can customize. In your organization, if you're following along with this some additional, we can able to add. If you're not following all this, the type of campaigns, then we can able to customize. You can remove whatever the options that you want from this one. That flexibility is available to you. And along with that, now Salesforce is giving some set of fields to you, like as campaign owner field, campaign name field, and active field, type field, status field. Like that here, if you want to add some more field based on your need, we can able to add. The flexibility is there. Everything we'll see practically inside our course. How can we customize the existing one? How can we build our own new things? Everything we will see practically. So now here, this is the direct mail they have specified. Now I'm changing to a conference. Now change those values and then click on save. Automatically, those details will be getting changed. Now the type is previously a different one, webmail, but now we have changed it as conference. Depends upon your requirement, we can able to change those values also. Nothing but we can modify. If you want to remove these records, then we can click on delete button. So now whatever the records we have created, we can able to remove those records also. Now let's see. When I click on view now, I'm getting only 3 records. Previously, I'm having 4 records are there. From those 1 record I have removed. Then what about the record? What about those records here? Unfortunately, it happened. I should not delete that record, but unfortunately it happened because mistakes will be happened by the human beings. So now here I have deleted one important record, which I should not delete, but unfortunately it happened. Then how can we get back that record information? What are the records you have deleted? Those records will be storing inside that recycle bin. Like as when coming to a system, you are having the recycle bin. In your Gmail application, you will be having the trash folder. Like the same way, in your Salesforce also, you are having the recycle bin. Now, from that recycle bin, we can able to restore that record back. Then, within what time we can able to restore that record? When coming to record, whenever you are deleting the record, those deleted records will be storing inside the recycle bin for 15 days. This question is very, very important in the entry point of view as well as in the certification also, in 201 certification. So now, when coming to the deleted records will be resides inside the recycle bin for 15 days. Within that 15 days, we can able to restore this record back to that actual object, or else Salesforce will remove those records which are older than 15 days without any prior notification to you permanently from Salesforce. Whatever the older records are there which are older than 15 days in the recycle bin, those records will be getting removed by the Salesforce permanently from Salesforce. We cannot restore the record back again in future. The possibility will not be available to you. So now for that, when you click on that recycle bin, In that recycle bin, you will be having all those records which you have removed recently. Now, this is the record which we are having. DM campaign to top customers, November 12 to 23, 2001. So now this is the campaign record which we have removed. Now this will be indicating this is a campaign record. Who has removed that record? This is the person who has removed that. When he has removed that record, this is the date and this is the time this person has removed this particular record over here. If you want to restore that record back, then select that and then click on delete button. What are the records you want to restore? We can select those records and we can able to click on delete button so that we can restore those deleted records back to the actual object directly. Now, when you click on undelete, now the record will be moving back to that actual object by default. Now let's go to the campaigns now. Now when you get that campaign, now you will be getting 4 campaigns again. Nothing but the deleted records also we can able to bring back to the actual object. That flexibility is available to you. Now, let's make a note of it here. All the deleted records will get resides in recycle bin for 15 days. Okay, not more than that. Once the records are older than 15 days in the recycle bin, then those records will be removed by the Salesforce permanently from Salesforce account without any prior notification. The records which are older than 15 days in recycle bin will be removed permanently from Salesforce. Permanently from Salesforce. So now, this point is very, very important in the certification as well. This is a 201 certification question. How long time the deleted records will be available inside that recycle bin? This will be available for 15 days, not more than that. If it is a Gmail, they will be maintaining those records for 30 days. But in Salesforce, it will be maintaining for 15 days to you. Now, so now here we are having these tabs are there. By using these tabs, we can able to create the records, we can modify the records, we can delete the records, and we can restore those records also. For that, to perform the operations inside the table, whatever the functionalities are required, everything we can able to operate with the help of these tabs itself. So that no need to learn any programming language. No need to have any technical skills, so that everybody can able to access my application. So now for that, in order to provide this set of graphical user interfaces, Salesforce is providing so many tabs to you. So now these are the various tabs are available here. Now, but so for some time, when coming to my Salesforce application, I'm not using all these tabs. I'm using only some few objects here. Nothing but only a few tabs is required for me. So now it is giving so many tabs to me here, but I'm not using all these things. So now based on our convenience, I would like to arrange that. Then how can we arrange these tabs? Nothing but how can we customize these tabs? Now I want to show only the home tab and campaigns, leads, accounts, contacts, opportunities, and the cases and solution. Only these tabs I want to show. Remaining tabs should not be visible onto my tab bar. So now this is the tab bar that we have. On the tab bar, how can we customize these tabs? Okay, now we will see practically here.
Feroz, one question.
Yeah.
So I see a new campaign button there, and also there is another create new on the top. So what is the difference between those two?
See, so now this is the create new view means this is to create a one more filter inside this. Okay, this is to filter inside this. Suppose for example, now here we are having so many types of campaigns are available. Let's see. I want to add one more view. So now it is displaying all the campaigns to me, but I want to display only those campaigns which are of type some conference. Okay. So now here we are having 2 records are there which are having that conference type. Okay, this is the first one, this is the second one. Or else, sometimes I want to see only those campaign records which are completed. Sometimes I want to get only those campaign records which are in plan, which are in progress, everything. So now let me show you here. If you want to filter the records, then we can able to create one more view. View is nothing but this is a list of view. In that we can able to add some options like this. Okay, all active campaigns, my active campaigns, like that we can able to add one more option inside that. Now, let's see. Click on create a new view. In order to create a new view over here, give a name for that view. I'm giving that completed campaigns. Completed campaigns. I want to get only the completed campaigns here. The planned campaigns and the in progress campaigns I don't want. I want to see only that completed. So that's give a name, whatever you want. Now specify the filter option based on which field you want to filter that. Based on that status. In that campaign, whatever the fields are there, all the fields will be getting visibility based on the status. So now the status is equals. It is giving that various operators to you. Equals, not equals to, less than, greater than, less or equal, greater or equal. Like that, so many options are available to you. Now, if the status is equals to completed, now it will be providing a lookup option to you. When you click on lookup, it is providing all the options available inside that status field. I want to see only that completed campaigns. Now select that option. Click on insert selected. Like as in your SQL queries, we are adding that the conditions by using where clause, like as column name equals to some so and so, column name greater than some so and so. Like the same way, we can add multiple conditions over here. Based on that, we can able to filter those records. Now, so once we have identified any records whose status value is equals to completed, then I want to show those records. While displaying those records, what columns information you want to show, what fields information you want to show in the table, so that you can customize those columns information also. Like I want to specify the active status, number of leads, and how many leads we have converted. And then I want to add the campaign ID, and then expected revenue, and expected response percentage, and then everything we can able to capture. And what are the option that we are going to create right now with this name, completed campaigns, this option has to be get visible to whom? To only to you, or to all the users in the organization, or only to a set of group of people. So now I want to make it visible to all, so that I'm selecting the visibility access is visible to all users. Click on save. So now it is providing that option to you here. Inside that, along with those options, like as active, all active campaigns, my active campaigns will be having completed campaigns also. When you click on completed campaigns, then only the completed campaigns will be getting visible to you. Only the completed campaigns. If you want to see all the campaigns, then select that all the active campaigns. All the campaigns will be getting visible. Like as the filtering option. Whatever the records are there, we can able to filter those records inside that by using this filtering option. For that, we can create a new view over there to add one more option. Like that, we can able to add multiple options inside this one. Clear?
Okay. Okay, first.
Now, so now Salesforce is providing so many tabs to us on this particular tab bar. So now I'm not using all these tabs right now. I want to use few tabs here. Then how can we customize? If it is providing so many tabs to me, then I'm confusing because of all the tabs on the tab bar. I don't want all these tabs. I want to place only those tabs which are required for me. Then how can we customize these tabs now? Then how can we customize the tabs? Now we'll see practically over here. In order to customize these tabs, then you will be having a symbol called as plus symbol. Already we have discussed that. Okay. Now let's see that navigation first. Customizing tabs. Tabs on tab bar. By default, Salesforce will provide a set of tabs on the tab bar. And we can customize the tab bar by placing the required tabs on it. Then how can we customize this one? Now we will see. Go to the tab bar. And click on plus symbol. click on plus and then click on customize my tabs. Customize my tabs button. Select the required tabs from the available tabs in the pick list. Select the required tabs from the available tabs in the pick list. Salesforce is providing two pick lists to you, nothing but two list boxes. In the first list box, it is providing all the tabs which are available inside your Salesforce organization, and then add the required tabs. Add the required tabs by selecting, by selection, and then arrange the tabs in the required order by using up and down navigation button. And then click on save button. Click on save button. Now this is the navigation. In order to customize those tabs, so now by default it is placing so many tabs to me on that graphical user interface. All the tabs are there, but I don't want all this one. I'm using only a few tabs. Then how can we customize this one? So at that time, now go to the tab bar. On the tab bar, you will be having the plus symbol, which is indicating like as all tabs. Click on plus symbol. Now go to that. All tabs will be getting visible to you. These are the various tabs are available inside the Salesforce, but because of the lack of the space, we are unable to display all the tabs on the tab bar, so that these are the tabs are make it visible to you. If you want to customize these tabs, then we can able to click on customize my tabs button. Here you will be having customize my tabs button. Click on customize my tabs button. Now it is populating what are the various tabs are available inside your Salesforce organization. These are the tabs are available to you. Now these are the tabs are there. Now from these tabs, which tabs you want to show on the tab bar? So that select that by using add and remove button. Now the selected tabs, nothing but these tabs are available inside your Salesforce organization as of now, which has been displaying on the tab bar. But I don't want to show all these things. I want to show only a few tabs here, so that we can customize. Whatever the tabs are available, we can able to customize this one. Orders I don't want. Contracts I don't want. Forecast I don't want. I'm removing that. Dashboards, reports, products I don't want. I'm removing this one. Removing the tabs from the tab bar means nothing but not removing from the Salesforce application, just we are going to be hiding from the display purpose. That's it. Okay. Now, I'm going to be customizing. I want to show the home tab first, and then campaigns tab, and then leads tab, and then accounts, and then contacts, and then opportunities, and then cases, and then solutions. This is the order I want to show these tabs here. You can customize what are the tabs that you want to show on the tab bar and click on save button. Then automatically the tabs has been customized, so that we can see what are the tabs that you want. Okay, what are the tabs that you want, we can able to place those tabs on the tab bar. No need to have all the tabs available inside your Salesforce organization. Suppose, for example, assume that I want to show campaigns, leads, and then I want to show case and solution, and then finally I want to show account, contact, and opportunity. Then how can we customize this one? Now go to the plus symbol, go to your customize my tabs. You will be having all the tabs are available here, which we are displaying on the tab bar. Now, after a campaign and the lead, I want to show case and solutions. So that select those tabs. Okay, use that up and down navigation button in order to arrange the order of those tabs also on the tab bar. Now you can able to move it up, and the solution also you can able to move it up. Wherever you want to show, you can able to specify that. Now we have customized home tab, and then campaign, and then lead, and then case, and then solution, and then account, contact, opportunity. Now click on save. Then whatever the order you have specified, in the same order the tabs will be getting arranged for you, so that we can able to customize your tabs based on your requirement also by using customize my tabs button. so that we can select what tabs to be get visible on the tab bar, and then what order the tabs has to be get visible, so that we can able to select those two options also with the help of customize my tabs button. Okay, clear as of now? Hi guys. Okay, now so now once we have created the tabs, now we will see here. Now each and every tab is associated with what? An object. Now by using this leads tab, what we can do, we can able to create some new lead records, we can able to modify the lead records, we can delete the lead records, we can restore those lead records, and we can see those lead records also. Nothing but when coming to the accounts tab, we can create some new account record, we can able to modify the existing account records, we can delete the existing account records, we can see the existing account records. Like that here, each and every tab is providing the graphical user interface by which we can able to manage the records in the associated object. Nothing but every tab, you will be having some graphical user interface. These are associated with a table in order to perform the operations in it. Now, so now what is that association here? Now we'll see practically. Yeah.
Firoz, sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
Like you are saying that each objects have, I mean, the who has given these data? I mean, backend data, who has provided this? Because we have just created.
This data will be given by the Salesforce to you by default, nothing but some sample format, nothing but some sample records given by the Salesforce to you, by which we can able to play some operations on that, and then we can see how the people has entered the data, and then what fields are visible, and then how can we create our own new record so that we can able to do that.
But in case if my business is, I mean, nowhere related to these things, like, you know, it doesn't have campaigning and all that. So is it still okay to use these things, or can we change those and we can customize as per our own?
Yes, we can customize as per our requirement, and then if you want to develop some more objects, then we can design that. That flexibility is also there. We are discussing each and every point over there. Not only using the standard objects, we can able to, when coming to the object, we'll see. So we are having two types of objects, standard and custom objects. Okay, with there we can differentiate all these things.
Okay, thanks.
Now, so now we are having so many tabs are visible to you. Okay, every tab is associated with an object here. Okay, now we'll see. So now when coming to the account, okay, now I'm going to be using that account here. Let's see, observe what will happen. So now let's see what exactly the information is available for the object level. Now, we are having few objects are available, which is given by the Salesforce tools. So now let's see the object name. I'm giving some columns inside the table. For each and every object, Salesforce is giving a tab. So the tab name. Now, internally it will be having a table. So what is the table name? And the object ID here. Let's see. Now we are having so many objects are available, like as account, contact, opportunity, case, solution, lead, campaign, order, like that. So now for each and every object, Salesforce has provided a tab to you. Now, for account tab, for account object, what is the tab? Accounts. For contact, the tab name is contacts. For opportunity, opportunities. For the case, cases. For the solution, solutions. For the lead, leads. For the campaign, campaigns. For the order, orders. So now these are the various tabs are available to you. For each and every object, Salesforce is going to be providing a tab to you. Let me increase that font so that you can be able to see. Now. So now for each and every object, Salesforce is providing a tab to you. Now this tab is providing the graphical user interface by which we can be able to manage the records available inside those tables. So now Salesforce is providing the table for each and every object by default. Now object means what? Table. Now for this account object, what is the table given by Salesforce? For each and every object, Salesforce is giving the table with the same name as the object name. For the account object, account table. For the contact object, contact table. For the opportunity object, opportunity table. For the case object, case table. For the solution object, solution table. For the lead object, lead table. For the campaign, campaign table. For the order object, order table. Nothing but these are the various table names are available internally available inside this Salesforce. Now, so now let's see here what exactly the object ID. Okay. Now we'll see practically what will happen. Now suppose for example here. Now let's see some practical examples on this. For example, I'm clicking on all these objects here, like so now when I click on this account objects and the opportunity object, then what will happen? Let's see. I'm copying this information, I'm pasting over it. So now let's see here. I'm clicking on the campaigns tab. Click on the campaigns tab. Now whatever the URL is available in the address bar, copy the URL and I'm pasting over here. This is for the campaigns. When I click on campaigns, this is the URL given by the Salesforce in the address bar. When I click on leads tab, it is providing one URL. Now copy that URL. I'm pasting over here. When you click on accounts, what is the URL? I'm copying that URL and I'm pasting over here. When you click on accounts, this is a URL given by the Salesforce. When you click on contacts, this is a URL given by the Salesforce. I'm copying that. When you click on opportunity, what is the URL? Click on that opportunity tab, copy that URL, paste that URL. Solution, so the case. When I click on cases tab, what is the URL given by the Salesforce? I'm copying that, I'm pasting over here. For the solution also, I want to get the URL and then I want to paste it over here. Now, these are the URLs are available here. So now let's see what is the difference between these two. Now observe this one. So what is the common thing that we have observed as of now in these particular URLs? In all these URLs, do we have any common format is there?
To salesforce.com it is similar, only the last thing is different.
Yes. Now it will be giving that information to you. Now observe this one. When coming to up to this part, salesforce.com, nothing but ap2.salesforce.com. Now up to this part, this is same. Now after that, it will be having a 3-digit alphanumerical values available here. Now, so now up to this ap2.salesforce.com, this is common. And after that, it will be having the different numbers are available. For the account, you will be having 001. For contact, you will be having 003. For opportunity, 006. This is 0500 for case. For solution 501, lead 00Q, and then campaign 701. Like that, you will be having so many IDs are available. Then what are these numbers basically? When coming to these numbers are called as schema ID or object key. These are called as object key prefix. Now, so now when coming to the SAP, if anybody is aware of SAP, in SAP, you will be having so many tables are available. For every table, they will be having a key, nothing but a code will be available. Based on that code, they can able to open the table and they can able to see the table information. Like the same way here also, when coming to the each and every table, Salesforce will be allocating one unique identification number that is called as object schema ID. Now this is the schema ID here, object ID. Now for account object, it will be allocating the ID as 001. For contact, this is 003. For opportunity is 006. For case 500. For solution 501. For lead 00Q. For the campaign 701. Then what is the use of this ID? We'll see practically here. You will be having two benefits over here. Okay, now let's see here. Now, for each and every object, Salesforce is allocating one unique identification number. That will be 3 characters alphanumerical ID. Now for the account 001, for contact 003, for opportunity 006, for case 500, for solution 501, for lead 00Q, for campaign 701, for order 801. Like that here, for each and every object in Salesforce, it is going to be allocating one object ID, nothing but one unique identification number. Now, let's make a note of it. For each object in Salesforce, it will allocate a unique object ID, which is a 3 characters alphanumerical number, which is a 3 characters alphanumerical number. So now for the account, it will be having 001, for the contact 003, for opportunities 006, like that. For every object, it is going to be allocating one unique identification number, like here. These are the various objects, these are the IDs are available to you. Now, what is the use of these numbers here? Now, do we need to remember these numbers? No, not required. If you are able to remember for only few objects, we can able to remember. For the remaining thing, no need to remember that. Now, for example, here, assume that. Now, currently I'm in which tab? Solutions tab. I want to go to opportunities. Then what we can do? We have to go to that opportunities tab and then click on it. Suppose, for example, my mouse is not working. Okay, my mouse is not working. Then what we can do? So at that time, just to go to that particular URL, instead of having that in that URL, you will be having ap2.salesforce.com/501/0 is there. Nothing but 0 means that is O. O is nothing but currently you are at object level. What object level? 501. 501 means what? This is a solution object. If you want to move to the opportunity, then just to go to that URL, specify that ap2.salesforce.com in the URL and then specify the opportunity object ID. For opportunity object, you will be having the ID as 006. Press enter. Now directly you will be moving to opportunities tab. No need to click on that particular button here. Now, if you want to go to account, then simply specify 1. Press enter. Now you will be going to that accounts tab. If you want to go to that campaign, then specify that 701. Press enter. You will go to that campaigns. If you want to go to that cases, type 500. Then you will be moving to the cases. Now the case tab has been selected. All the cases has been getting listed up to you here, so that we can able to do all these operations. Now my requirement is orders. I want to see that orders tab. I want to create some order record here. Then how can we create? For that, we are having a specific process. Like orders tab is not visible over here. Then what we can do? We have to click on that plus symbol, go to the customize my tabs, add that orders tab onto your tab bar. Okay, click on add to that orders tab. and click on save. Then automatically orders tab will be getting visible to you on the tab bar, and click on that orders tab, click on new, and then you can create a new order record also. But I don't want to add that order tab onto my tab bar. Then what we can do, simply you can go to that URL, type 801, press enter. Now you are into the orders tab. There is no orders are available as of now. If you want to create a new order, click on new order button so that we can create a new order record also here. So that by using that particular ID of those objects, we can able to directly locate that particular object user interface. Directly, we can able to jump into that objects directly also here. The flexibility is available to you. Instead of clicking on that associated object, instead of adding those tabs onto the tab bar, if you know the ID of that object, then we can directly jump into that. So the flexibility is available to you. Okay, clear as of now? Any question? Now, let's see. So what is the advantage of here? The second advantage of this particular, what is the second advantage of this particular, the object ID? Now we will see. So now the second advantage is, whenever I'm creating some record, okay, suppose for example, let's see, I would like to create an account record here. I want to create an account record. Click on accounts tab. Go to that recent accounts. We haven't created any recent account as of now. We haven't created any account record right now. Click on new button to create a new account record. It is providing a graphical user interface for you. Okay? It is providing a graphical user interface for you. So now, when coming to the graphical user interface, it is providing so many fields to you. We'll come to the fields concept in the next session. So now it is providing so many fields to you, like some text box fields, some pick list fields, some some text area fields, and the date fields, and all these things of all these types of fields are available. Now I would like to create an account record. While creating the account record, we are having so many fields are there in the graphical user interface, where few fields are mandatory, nothing but which are marked with the red color bar symbol. These are mandatory fields, and the remaining fields are optional. You may enter the value, you may not enter the value for these fields. But compulsorily, we have to enter the value for account name field, because this is a red color symbol, red color bar is available, which is indicating this is a required information. Okay, this is a required information. Now, compulsorily, we have to provide the value for that required fields. Now, let's see. So now when coming to the account record, I want to create a new account record over here. Now let's see. I want to create an account record. I'm creating an account record with the name some Dell Incorporation. Assume that he is one of my customer. Account means what? Customer. I'm creating a customer record with the name Dell Incorporation. And account number, you can enter whatever the number that you want. Account site, I'm giving some manufacturing division. Now type of that customer. Now we got the customer directly, customer direct. Industry, the customer, to which industry the customer is associated. They're into the manufacturing. All the industries are populated over here. Now select that industry as manufacturing. Annual revenue, I'm giving some value. Rating, what is the rating that you are going to be providing to the customer? We are having hot rating, warm rating, and the cold rating. Nothing but like as high rating, medium rating, and the low rating. So that Salesforce is having the different terminology. If you want to use the same rating values, you can use. If you want to change it, then you can customize based on our requirement. Every option we can customize. Now I'm giving some hot rating because he is a very valuable customer to us, because they are going to purchasing more products. Now phone number, I'm entering some value. And the fax number. And the website, Dell.com. And the ownership. This organization is a private organization. Number of employees, some 5,000. I have entered the data here. I want to make this customer record as inactive, so that your active status, I'm making it as yes. So in the next session, we'll see what exactly is fields, what is the use of fields, what is the association. We'll see practically in the next session. Now observe the URL here. Now we are having that this is the URL is available as of now. When after entering the data, when I click on save button, now my record will be getting saved. Where this record will get saved, this is account record. Account record will be saving into that account table. Now, when coming to my account table, one record has been created with the name Dell Incorporation. This is the account record we have created right now. So now, when coming to the Dell account record, Salesforce is going to be allocating one unique identification number. Suppose, for example, we are having an organization. Inside that organization, you may be having some multiple employees are also there, where in those few employees are there who are having the same names. So at that time, we can't ask the employee to change their name, okay? Because that is from his childhood, from his birth itself, he will be having that same name. So that we cannot ask him to change his name. So that we need to identify each and every employee separately, even though the multiple employees are having the same name. At that time, we are going to be identifying the employees by allocating a unique identification number, that is employee ID. Like the same way, whenever you are going to be creating a new record inside the Salesforce, for each and every record, Salesforce will maintain a unique identification number that is called as a record ID. For every record, Salesforce will be allocating one ID. That will be a unique identification number allocated by the Salesforce. So nothing but what happened, even though you are creating the two account records in the Salesforce with the same name Dell Incorporation with the same details, but IDs of those account records will be completely different. So that in order to identify each and every record uniquely, we are using record ID. So now what is that record ID and what is the importance of the record ID? Now we will see. Now let's make a note here. Upon creating a new record in the object, Salesforce will allocate a record, a unique 18 characters record ID. A 18 characters record ID. So now, what exactly that unique character ID is available here? What is the ID of that particular record? Now, for each record, it will be allocating that unique identification number that is called as record ID, which is having that 18 characters alphanumerical number. Now, record ID has 18 characters alphanumerical number. Okay, now, so now what exactly the 18 characters here? In that 18 characters ID, the first three characters are describing object schema ID. Nothing but the object ID. This is also called as object key prefix. The first three characters are describing the object ID or the schema ID. And the remaining 15 characters will describe the actual record ID. Okay, the actual record ID will be the last 15 characters. Now let's see. Go to your Salesforce instance. Just now we have created one account record with the name Dell Incorporation. So now when you go to that URL, it will be having that ID is available to you. Copy that URL and then paste that URL. Observe this one, what we have identified. So now along with that record, you will be having that ID is also there. Now this is the ID has been getting allocated. Now this is the ID allocated by the Salesforce team. Now observe this one. In that ID, what is the first three characters? 001. 001 means what? What object ID? 001 means This is a
Counts.
object ID. So nothing but what happened here, by observing the ID itself, we can able to identify to which object this record is associated. Nothing but whether it is account record or contact record or opportunity record or case record or what. So based on that record ID itself, we can identify. All the account record IDs will be starting from 001. All contact record IDs will be starting from 003. All opportunity records IDs will start from 006. All case IDs will start from 0500. Our address ID starts from 801. Like that here, this is the notation internally using by Salesforce. So now the first three characters are going to be describing the object ID. Now 001 means the account object ID here. Now after that, how many characters are there available again? Now you are having 12 characters again. Nothing but here, in this particular ID, you will be having 15 characters. But Salesforce is generating 18 characters ID to you. But in the URL, how many characters are displaying here? 15 characters only. So now why it is displaying 15 characters? What about the remaining 3 characters? When coming to the Salesforce, upon creating a new record, for each record, Salesforce will allocate 18 characters unique identification number, and it will be storing inside that database table. But in the URL, it will be displaying that first 15 characters to you. Last 3 characters will not be visible to you in the URL because of the security reasons. Now, if I'm giving that complete 18 characters, then what it means? Now here it is indicating HTTPS means this is a protocol we are using to transfer the data. Now, where we have our data inside the Salesforce.com's organization. In Salesforce.com organization, in which server? In AP2 server. In that AP2 server, in which table you have that 001, nothing but account table. In that account table, in which what is that record ID? This is a record ID. So that what happened if I'm providing the complete 18 characters ID in the URL, then it will be very easy for the hackers to track that information. They can able to have the information easily. So that when coming to the Salesforce, even though they are allocating the 18 characters ID to each record, but in the URL, it will be providing only the first 15 characters. The last 3 characters will not be visible to you in the URL because of security reasons. This question is very, very important in the entry point of view. So what will be the importance of 18 characters ID and the 15 characters ID? The 18 characters ID is a unique identification number for each record which has been allocated by the Salesforce by default upon creating a new record. That ID we cannot able to change. That ID will be fixed for the record automatically because this is generated by the Salesforce to us. Now, once the record has been getting created, Salesforce will allocate the unique identification number, which is a 18 characters alphanumerical number for each record. From there, the first 3 characters are going to be describing the object schema ID, nothing but to which object this record is get associated. And the remaining 15 characters are going to be describing the actual record ID. So now in that, when coming to the URL, Salesforce is providing only the first 15 characters to you on the URL, but the last 3 characters will not be visible to you because of the security reasons. Okay. Now they will raise a question. Now in the URL, it will be displaying only 15 characters, but I want the complete 18 characters ID I want to see. Then how can we see that information? So now for that, we are having the multiple ways are available to see that complete 18 characters ID also. So now, in order to see that information, we have to make a query. This is that record ID. Now we can make a note of it. While loading the record in the user interface, Salesforce will display the 15 character ID of the record in URL. It will not display the last 3 characters of the record because of the security. Because of the security reason. Then we can get the complete 18 characters ID from the database by making a query. by making a query as below. How can we make that query? Now we'll see here. In order to get that data here, we have to use this query. Now we'll see that navigation. Go to your name in the instance, nothing but in the organization. Training Salesforce. On top right corner. Expand the link and click on developer console. Click on developer console link. Go to the developer console editor. Expand the bottom tab bar. And click on Query Editor tab. And type the query as below. Select ID, name from account. Now this is the account table. In order to get the data, we are using that select statement. I would like to select the ID of the record and the name of the account record from the account table. And then click on execute button. So this is the navigation we are going to be using in order to get that complete 18 characters ID. Now, when coming to the entire implementations in the development, we need to completely depends upon that 18 characters ID itself. So that it is very, very important to track that informations. Now, let's see this navigation. Sometimes in the entry point of view, they will raise a question, how can we get that complete 18 characters ID? So that we have to make a query to the database. Then how can we make the query to the database? Now we will see. Let's go to your Salesforce instance. On top right corner, you will be having your name, like as training Salesforce, the currently logged in username. Expand that pick list. You will be having an option called as developer console. Now click on that developer console link. It is providing an editor to you. Inside that, you will be having that a bottom tab bar. This is the tab bar is there. This is an expand and collapsible tab bar. Sometimes this will be in the collapsible mode. Okay, don't think there is no tab is available. Here you will be having that small option is available here, which is to expand. Click on that, the tab bar will be getting expandable. In the tab bar, you will be having so many tabs are there, like as logs tab, test tab, checkpoints, query editor, view state, progress, problems, so many tabs are there. Click on that query tab, query editor tab, and type your SQL query. Now I'm typing that information, select ID, name from account. ID and name are what? These are the columns available inside the account table. Now we will see in the next session what are the various other columns are available. What is the association between a field and a column? Okay, everything we'll see practically in the next session. Now type that columns information which you want to fetch and click on execute button. Now here you will be having that execute button is available. Click on execute. Now all the account records, IDs and their names will be getting populated to you. Now totally 13 records are available inside this account table, where 12 records has been given by Salesforce by default and 1 record we have created just now. Now when you come down, you will be having your record called as Dell Incorporation. This is the Dell Incorporation record which we have created right now. So now you will be having that record ID is available. Double click on that, you can able to copy this record ID. Copy this record ID and then paste over here. I'm pasting over that record over here. Now this is the URL here given by the Salesforce. I'm pasting that URL also. So now when you compare these two, you will be having both are same or not here. Now you will be having the both are same. Up to that 15 characters, both are same. Now in the URL, you will be having the first 15 characters, and when coming to this actual record ID, you will be having the 18 characters. Nothing but the last 3 characters, U, will not be visible to you in the URL because of the security reasons. So now for that here, when coming to the last 3 characters, sometimes they will ask in the entry point of view. So what the last 3 characters will describe? The last 3 characters are describing the checksum of the ID. Now make a note. The last 3 characters of the record ID will describe the checksum. Checksum of the record ID characters. Now, so now when coming to the entry point of view, this is also one of the question here. Okay, the last 3 characters will not be visible in the URL. Then how can we fix that? For that, we need to get that complete 18 characters ID by making a query to the database with the help of query editor, so that we can able to execute that query, we can fetch that information, and we can able to see that. And the last 3 characters are going to be describing the checksum of that record ID characters. Okay, like when coming to a credit card, also you will be having the credit card number. So now how it will validate the credit card number? There is some checksum is available. Nothing but whenever you are using the complete 16 characters or the 14 and 12 characters of your credit card number, then when they perform some operations, addition, subtraction, and that will be generating some value. That is called as some checksum. Now, when coming to your object, you will be having some checksum is available here. That checksum is nothing but the last 3 characters of your record ID. Now, so now here you will be having that complete 18 characters will be generating by the Salesforce, which will be storing inside the table, but in the URL it will be displaying only the first 15 characters ID to you. The last 3 characters will not be visible to you because of the security reasons. So now these questions are very, very important during the interview point of view, so that we can be able to get the complete information over here. Clear?
Yes.
Okay. Now, so in the next session, we are going to be discussing about some more features of this user interface. So what exactly the tab, and then what exactly these tables, and then what is the fields inside that, and how can we cross-check all these fields information, what type of objects given by Salesforce to us, and what is a standard object, what is a custom object, what is the difference between a standard object and a custom object, what features are visible, how to create our own custom applications, how to create our own custom objects. We'll see each and every feature one by one in the next sessions. Okay. So the next session will be, yeah.
I mean, why? What is the use of this record ID? I mean, I understood this. 18 characters and 3 are, I mean, not visible and all that. But why do we need it as a record ID?
See, because when coming to the Salesforce, you may create multiple records also with the same details. But in order to identify each and every record uniquely, we have to use that record ID itself. Suppose, for example, I'm deleting an account record. Now, while deleting that account record, I cannot use name, because with that name, if I'm having multiple records are there, all the records will get removed. So that I want to delete only one record. So for that, we have to get the ID of the record. Based on that ID only we can remove. Suppose if I'm updating a record, then which record do we need to update? All the records which are having the same name? No, one specific record, so that we can able to update that record by using that ID itself. So that whenever we are performing some operations on the record, always we have to use ID itself, not the names. Because for every record we'll be having the name field is there, but we can create multiple records with the same name. Salesforce will blindly accept that. But to identify the record, we are having that key that is ID. Like as a primary.
So that we need that 18 character ID.
Yes.
For any kind of updation.
Yes. For updation, for deletion, in order to restore those records, all operations we are performing based on that ID only.
But I mean, why do they have to mask those 3? I mean, security is. I mean, what kind of security threat would be there? Like,
see.
Anyways, all the records are visible. So.
So, but
why this?
Because here, if I am giving the complete path, like as this is the protocol I'm using, This is the server name where my data is there. This is the table in which that server is available. This is the record ID. Then it will be very easy for the hackers to track that information. So for that, in order to provide the security for that, instead of providing the complete 18 characters information, they are making visible only the 15 characters ID to that in the URL. So that even though the hacker people can hack that information, they will not get exact path. So that it will be very difficult for them to hack that information. So for that, in order to maintain those kind of securities, Salesforce is going to be not visible in the last 3 characters in the URL.
Yeah, thanks. Just got it. Yeah.
Okay.
Feroz, one question.
Yeah.
Suppose as a developer, if we know the 18 character, then if we provide that full 18 character in the URL, we can directly go to that record, right?
Yes. If you know that complete 18 characters ID, we can get that record directly in that URL.
Oh, okay.
So Feroz, this is Anuj. Me and Sumit deposit the money.
Okay.
So can you please tell Ramesh to confirm that?
You and
Me and Anuj and Sumit.
Anuj and Sumit. Okay. I will inform to him.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks,
Okay,
guys.
Feroz. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll have the session again on Tuesday morning IST. Nothing but the Monday night for you.
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks, guys. I will share that link to you accordingly for that.
Okay,
And in this
thank you.
meantime, you can go through this information, and a few people haven't joined today. So I will request them to go through this today's session so that they can understand the next session as well. That will be very easy for them.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
So if anybody did not get the access on that drive, then please let me know. If there is any access issues, then I will grant the access again. Already I have shared to all the people so that they can able to access all the documents till yesterday. And today's the video also I will upload into the drive so that they can able to access that. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.